Thank you. Well, this is a very exciting panel. What a great group I have. I think the best panel here today, but we have a lot to cover. We've been talking and hinting all day about the role of inclusion and really building a financial ecosystem that is truly inclusive of people and businesses and entrepreneurs who have historically and systemically been excluded. And we're not going to solve all of that in the next 25 minutes. Maybe if we had 5 more minutes, we would. But we won't solve it today, but I think we'll get some great insights and great ideas. So let me start by letting the panel introduce themselves, because we've got so many great ideas here and great backgrounds here, by just asking them what brought them to talking about crypto and digital assets, and let them introduce themselves that way. So let me start with Sheena.
Hello, I'm Sheena Allen. I'm the CEO and founder of Capway. We are an inclusive fintech company that we focus on creating products and services that give people access and opportunities. And my part on the panel today, and what I would love to talk about, is how people, many people in America are financially underserved, and the opportunities that digital currency actually presents.
Great. Chelsea.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Chelsea Bennett. I am with Block. You know, my upbringing story brought me to this place. Over 3 decades ago, I was born to 2 teenagers in the urban core of Jacksonville, Florida. And I remember, my family and friends, there was a lack of trust with our financial institutions. So there was money in shoe boxes under the mattress, and you hope that your house never burned down. And so when I was looking for where my next place was going to be, I was looking for a place that was going to align with who I am and the people I want to serve. And that was people who grew up like me and people who look like me. And Block has a purpose of economic empowerment. And so with that alignment that I sit here today and I'm able to talk to you about cryptocurrency and digital assets, because I believe that it is a tool, one of many, for economic empowerment for individuals who grew up in underserved and unbanked areas like I did.
Great. David, you want to take that on?
Absolutely, but I don't know how I can follow that. My name is David Eric, and I'm the co-founder and executive director of a nonprofit organization called AIR, the Alliance for Innovative Regulation. You heard from my co-founder, Joanne Barefoot, just a little while ago. And we are a nonprofit that's dedicated to helping the regulatory ecosystem embrace technology, both from the point of view of technology that they need to regulate, and also from the point of view of how to use new technologies to do a better job of regulation. And we have really identified the opportunity to leverage cryptocurrency and the blockchain system as a way to understand trust and understand how to build trust for underestimated populations. And this is an incredible opportunity. I'm very happy to be here today.
That's a great word, underestimated populations. I like that. Well, Yinka, why don't you tell us how you got here?
So for me, I actually got here by way of the blockchain technology. I saw it as an opportunity for the Black community to utilize it in a way that has not been used before. It's more than just cryptocurrency, it's more than just NFTs. It's actually a tool that we can use to assist us in some of the barriers that have been historically put into place. Now with this technology, we're able to uplift ourselves and be able to participate. So seeing that opportunity, I was like, this is something that Black women across the globe need to participate in, being that we are the nurturers of our community. We're the individuals that come back to the community to provide education. So I saw it as a means for us to tap into tech, and this time around not to be left behind, because it's very much important that we stay in the forefront of this technology and we utilize it for so many different ways that we can tap in, but also be creators of this tech, because it's a very new stage. We still have time for us to participate and to build, and I want to make sure that we're here in this space.
So we have a lot to cover. So what I'm going to do is I'll ask a question, let one person lead off, and if others want to chime in, you can chime in on that, but you don't have to. Everybody doesn't have to answer every question. So let me start with the question about what's the appeal of digital assets, kind of building on what Yinka was just saying, to people who have been traditionally underserved. Maybe get a little flavor of what is this the story behind why people are looking at these assets, digital assets, crypto, digital financial services. And let me ask Sheena to start us off.
Very similar to Chelsea. I had my great grandmother had kept her money in her home. One kept it in her mattress, one kept it in a sock in her recliner. And we knew growing up, you do not sit in the recliner because the money was. So I think that with of course, now with the cryptocurrencies coming along, mainly Bitcoin's what we mainly know, especially this next generation. So banking deserts still exists, and in fact, they're still growing in certain areas. So I'm from Mississippi. I don't know if you can tell by my accent; it doesn't go away. I'm from Mississippi, and you can drive through the Delta for 30 minutes to an hour, and you will not see a bank. So there are true banking deserts. And so because I grew up in places like that and I know what that's like, when I see the opportunity for cryptocurrency, if I see the opportunities for Bitcoin, as she mentioned, it was still very early. And so this next generation, I look at it more so from a Gen Z, a millennial, more for me when I look at it, because they're really interested in investing, but they can be so early in the opportunity that, hey, I can't go to that bank up the street because there is no bank. But that digital currency, I can get on my phone and I can learn about Bitcoin, I can invest in Bitcoin, and I can actually make transactions that are outside from the traditional banking, which of course was what the crypto was supposed to be about anyway, was decentralizing the system, which I think plays on the plus side for people who have been underserved.
Anybody else want to add to that? Jump in. There's a lot to say there. Maybe someone might want to talk about appeal to women in particular, what that might look like.
Yeah, I mean, historically there have been laws that prevented women from participating in so many different things. It wasn't until, I want to say 1988 where a woman couldn't sign a loan, right, without having a male co-signer. And so having this opportunity for us to tap in without the restrictions, without the barriers, has really allowed a lot of people to be more inclusive in this space and be able to build opportunities off of the technology alone. And so, because of the pseudo-anonymity that we're able to have in this space, we're now able to travel in a way that, whether I'm a woman, whether I'm a Black woman, whether I subscribe to certain political, parties or not, I still get the opportunity to participate. And it also opens up the gate for the entire world. So it's not just the US, it's like globally, people are participating on the same level. And that's a great opportunity for everyone.
I think that kind of tees us to specific use cases, right? We've been talking in broad terms a lot today, but I think it's also really important to talk about what are the use cases for inclusion. And I know, let me let Chelsea start us off, because I know she's been trying to think of some good ones that she's been thinking about.
When we think about money, we use money on a daily basis. We engage in it, and money is not an open system. And so one of the things that's so important as we talk about inclusion is transparency, but it's also accessibility. And so I have a few examples that I'll touch on really quickly in terms of inclusion. One is remittances. Per the World Bank, when you are sending money, typically individuals are paying 6.04% of the amount that they're sending. But let's talk about Africa. Mm-hmm. In Africa, oftentimes it's 30% in fiat versus 5 to 10 cents in Bitcoin. Another example, international transfers. It can be a really, really huge challenge and hassle for parents abroad to send tuition money back to their students here in America. And with Bitcoin and digital assets, they can send it directly, almost immediately, with minimal fees. I think about the Lightning Network in terms of everyday use, of being able to utilize cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, as a currency. And there are places in Nigeria, in South America, smaller merchants there that are using Bitcoin as currency. Yeah. The final example I'll give in terms of inclusion, and this is just the beginning. As Sheena said, we're in the beginning of this. I can't wait, and we heard the example earlier today from Superintendent Harris just about how Amazon started. I'm excited about the potential and how this is going to continue to help people in underserved and underbanked communities. Again, it's very, very personal to me. The last example I'll give you is decentralized identity. There are over 1.1 billion people that are unable to verify their identities. But with decentralized identity, they're able to, it'll be one source accepted globally. It becomes it eases the burdens for immigrants who are coming abroad and don't have a credit file. So there are many touch points of inclusion that we see here today, but I'm so excited for what the future holds.
Those are great examples, and I appreciate you bringing in the fact that, we can talk about the US and we can talk about other countries, but we're linked. We're all linked. Families are linked, communities are linked, and so we're all linked. I don't know if anyone else wanted to add to it. David, did you want to?
I do. I think that when you think about some of the concerns that we express about having, cryptocurrency, the fact that it's incredibly volatile in terms of its pricing. If you think about some of the use cases that Chelsea talked about, and you think about it internationally, in many cases, the volatility of Bitcoin is less than the volatility of their home currencies, right? If you think about some of the other challenges that people talk about with Bitcoin or with cryptocurrencies, the idea that you have within the United States, we have 7% of households that are still unbanked, right? But more of those people have phones, right? There's a reason why they're not getting banked. We heard it on this panel where people are not comfortable putting their assets in financial institutions. And to the degree that through their phones, they can have access to crypto and cryptocurrency accounts, this is an incredible opportunity to provide access to the kinds of financial services that might be more appealing and more safe for these populations.
This is great. It's a great point. I'm going to pivot us a little bit. Everyone on this panel, or most of us on this panel, not me, are entrepreneurs and innovators and creators. And I think this is an important piece of talking about inclusion, is talking about successfully including innovators and entrepreneurs. So Yinka, you got into this as an entrepreneur and a creator. Can you talk a little bit about what creators and entrepreneurs should know about getting involved in digital assets and in the crypto space?
Yeah, I mean, from earlier sessions and up till now, you probably already know this is the future. Like, we're literally planning out the future right now. So unless you want to go the way of, Blockbuster, you got to get with the program, the Gen X's, Gen Z's, and, other younger generations out there, they're involved in this space. They're seeing some usage of this space, whether it's NFTs, entrepreneurs using NFTs to give incentives to their customers, right? Or using it as a means to market to the younger generation, a new clientele, or making yourself flexible enough to accept cryptocurrencies. There's opportunities here, and just know that this is the early stages. We're literally in the early stages of building this whole industry or ecosystem, right? And if you want to stay relevant and innovative, you need to be involved, and you need to just submerge yourself, right? We talked about education. I think that's the running theme here, this whole conference. Education is very much important, and as an entrepreneur and a creator, educate yourself. Find a means for you to enter in, how it's going to work for you, and there's several people out there. There's my organization, Black Women Blockchain Council, that's out there that can assist you in onboarding in a safe and secure way, because I am also in cybersecurity as well, so that's very much important in this space.
Great. That's great. Well, you're talking about we're early stage, and we've been talking about throughout the day about what are the steps forward in a regulatory environment, a legislative environment. And, we've had some big ideas about what that might look like and where it needs to go. David, do you want to maybe help us think through maybe some tangible next steps for policymakers and how we can really build policy that is truly inclusive?
I think what we've heard at the conference today is that the participants in this market really value and recognize the importance of regulation. And what we need to do is we need to meet with regulators in a new kind of model of collaboration. In this case, regulators need to learn more about the products, about the technologies, so that they can learn how to better regulate them. And there are really important key trade-offs that we've already heard about between protecting consumers but not limiting access. That's a really hard road to walk, right? There's some people here at this conference that would assert that we already have a legal infrastructure in place that covers blockchain or covers cryptocurrencies. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to take a position on that one way or the other. But what I would say is that we need the regulators to come together and create a framework. If those laws exist, if those laws are applicable, the regulators need to come together and create a framework that they can operate on and operate on consistently across the different regulatory entities to really provide the kind of guardrails that would really help protect consumers and build the industry at the same time.
Go ahead, Chelsea, and then I'll come to you.
I just want to echo those sentiments, especially if there are any regulators, legislators that are listening. Today I was sharing with my panel earlier, dealing with an issue. In my role, I covered 25 states. And in one of my states, there was a bill that was introduced and industry was not involved. And so here we are about 3 weeks before the end of session trying to amend a bill where it would have been a much easier process if industry stakeholders were at the table. And so I see the parallel here of how important it is for as regulations and legislation is being formed around this topic, for the stakeholders to be at the table, because the other thing in this issue I'm dealing with is that there's so many different models. And so you want to make sure that you understand the stakeholders at the table. And then to the other point that's being made, consistency. When you have these companies that are national, international companies, frameworks that are consistent are not only helpful for the company, but they're helpful for us as we serve you so that we're able to offer the best service, the best product to you.
You want to add in on stakeholders?
Yeah, exactly. I want people to know that stakeholders aren't just CEOs of these corporations. Stakeholders are the people, because this is a space for the people, by the people. So when regulators are coming up with these policies, they need to involve the people on the ground who are actually finding means to use this space for opportunities. We don't want regulation that's going to restrict involvement. We want regulations that's going to help. So definitely, when you're coming up with these policies, involve the people in the process. That's all I ask for. Those are the stakeholders.
And to make that really concrete, there's an opportunity to solicit feedback from young people, solicit feedback from communities of color, because these are the populations that are really driving the adoption of these new products. It's important that as a regulatory community, you understand what is the drivers of this interest and why are people actually doing this.
Well, I will. Sheena, do you want to add on to that? Anything?
I can't, because the people. It's for the people, by the people. It summed it all up. So I'll leave it at that.
I'll just give my plug. Obviously, as regulators, and I've been in a regulatory agency for all of a month now. So, as regulators, we absolutely do need to hear from folks, and we need to hear from folks on these new financial products and services and emerging cryptocurrencies and digital assets. I'll also point out we have opportunities to comment on existing bank regulatory agencies. The OCC and the Federal Reserve and the FDIC just a couple of weeks ago put out a big old notice of proposed rulemaking on the Community Reinvestment Act, which really speaks to how banks, and right now it's just banks, invest in underserved low-income communities, how they support housing, how they support small business lending, how they support investments in community development. So I would certainly, if you want to see how the banking system should better serve low-income communities and underserved communities, I'd certainly encourage everyone in the room and on the panel to take a look and put in their comments on that, because there are opportunities. But absolutely, I think it's a point well taken to think about how we can keep engaging in forums like this one and with everyone. So I know we don't have very much time left. I really appreciate the insights from everybody on this panel. And I've had the benefit of talking with them for the last week or so it's been great for me. And hopefully you all will have a chance to talk with folks more at the break and during the reception as well. So thank you all. Thank you, Sheena and Chelsea and David Yinka. It's been great meeting you and talking with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.